Hi everyone, and the name of today's show, Gene Comes Clean, My Life of Excess, Episode 2, with producer, actor, writer, singer Gene Pietragallo. In today's show, Gene talks about hopelessness and change, and how to restore hope to your daily life. You're watching Boomer TV. Join us at bloomerboomer.com and be part of an amazing community of people over 55. And now, here's Gene.
Thank you, Andy. Hey, Bloomer Boomers. How are you, Bloomer Boomers? It's a beautiful day out here in California. That's where I sit today in the desert of California, hoping every day the air gets a little clearer from these terrible, tragic fires we've been happening. And hopefully that'll continue as it keeps getting a little cooler. I'm really excited to be here. Last week, I had my first opportunity to meet with you all, and Andy led me through maybe an explanation of why I'm here, a little bit of my background, and I'm really happy to be back. So this time we're gonna actually delve into some of the things that I think have really helped me and changed my life as I became a boomer. First of all, I didn't know this would happen. I don't know about any of you, but I did not know I would get older like this. And I always thought there was a certain age when you were grown up and you were done and you were an adult, a mature older person. And I'm a new at being a boomer, not that new. I'm 61 years old, and you can't lie about anything nowadays because everybody knows they can just check you out. So I'm 61. I'm pretty happy about it. I feel pretty good. But if you'd asked me, 60 was really old to me. 60 was old when I was 30. 60 was old when I was 40. And it's completely different than I thought it would be. And I have a lot of friends that are a little bit older than me when I'm talking about when do you grow up, and by a lot of their behavior and their sense of humor and what they do to experience life to the fullest, I look at some of these friends of mine and I go, so you really don't need to grow up. You don't have to grow up. And I mean by growing up, I'm not saying being immature. I'm not saying not taking care of business. I'm saying losing our pizzazz, losing our lust for life. And we don't have to do that. And I can tell you that in my past, and sometimes in the world I'm used to, we like to tell you where we've been, what happened, and where are you now. Well, where I was and what happened to me really briefly, what Andy and I talked about last year, I was born into a little bit of an entertainment family. My grandmother's first cousin was Jimmy Durante. My father was a big band singer who went by the stage name of Tony Duran. And he was a professional. He did it for a living. And then back in that day, it was quite a risk to go into show business and the entertainment business, as it still is now, I suppose. But he went to school, got a degree at the University of Pittsburgh, which I proudly still wear his ring, and took care of his family. And I will say that my mom and my father, I'm blessed to have my mom out here with me on the West Coast, but they took excellent care of us. They gave us every opportunity, and their generation was built upon being able to do better by their children than their parents did for them. They were building blocks, and we went through a lot of phases. If we're a boomer now, we went through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and so many different things. So what we have now is a lot of experience, a bigger library, if you will. If you look at our music library, it's certainly a much larger and more vast than my 20-year-old daughter, which is another story, the kids, but we'll talk about that another time. Anyway, I had that bug with my father, watching him sing. I would never sing around my father, and I was very shy about it. But secretly, it's something I wanted to do. And once again, I was given every opportunity. I went to Carnegie Mellon University as a theater major, and shortly after I left there, I went to Loyola Marymount in California here, and I was lucky. I was prepared. I was, the opportunity meets preparedness. I did the work. I was prepared, and I got some lucky breaks. But so I was weaned on a soap opera. I was on Search for Tomorrow. I played Brian Emerson on Search for Tomorrow. I they hire a lot of good-looking people there. I think they hired me because of my hair, and so I snuck in through the cracks there. But anyway, I learned a lot there. It was live TV. It was live television. The camera scooted from one set to the next. I'm telling you that because what an experience. It gave me the interest in production and working behind the scenes because I was just fascinated with the timing of it all. And I also realized how important the actor was working with the production team to give you the whole package. So, I was there with these veterans. It was the longest running show on CBS. And I was actually there when they took away their crutch, they took away the teleprompters. And, as a young actor that thought I was going to change the world, I didn't want to be disturbed. I needed to be real. I wasn't going to read a teleprompter, so I wasn't dependent upon that. But the world was amazing because if you ever see a soap opera, they are always having coffee, and the real truth is, and it sounds like it's fiction, but people would write their lines inside the coffee cup or put little things in there to remind themselves so that when they were drinking, they could actually help themselves if they forgot their lines. And then came teleprompters. And when they took them away, there were a lot of disgruntled actors that had been making a living in that business for a very long time. And all of a sudden they had to do more work. Anyway, I loved it. I loved the production of it. I loved the timing of it. I loved it when they came out and said, we have to cut some time from the scene, et cetera, and working with those guys. So I was very lucky. I continued to get work, but I was very spoiled on my soap opera. I was a featured character, and it was just like theater and what I was used to. You did 5 shows a week. You couldn't sit around and think about yesterday's show, just like you can't think about yesterday's performance in the theater because there's another show to do tomorrow. And so it was a great learning ground for me, and I enjoyed my time there immensely. I've done a bunch of other shows, a lot of theater. I was, a rookie cop on the last season of Hill Street Blues named Spence Myers. I've done a few movies. I've produced a few movies. I have a movie that I did a few years back that I'm really proud of called The Encore of Tony Duran. The name is familiar. It was an homage to my father and his stage name of Tony Duran. As I got older, I really wasn't satisfied with just acting because everybody wants to be a director. And you realize that, it's great to be the face, but the director's in charge. And maybe we all want to be in charge. At least I did. Did things come easy for me? Maybe a little too easy. I was a 23-year-old guy making a ridiculous amount of money and on my own in New York City, and then continued that in Los Angeles. As the years progressed, I produced a lot of live-to-tape television shows, close to 700 cooking shows, talk shows, political shows, etc. Where did that bring me? When we're talking about getting older and staying on point here, when I was 40 years old, I thought the world was over. I wasn't a household name. I just thought if you didn't make it by now, you're just not going to make it. And that's really far from the truth, especially if you're in the entertainment industry in production or as an actor, because there's no age limit. We can work as old as long as we can breathe. So we can also live as long as we can breathe. And I think sometimes as we get older, we think that opportunities have dried up or that we need to behave a certain way. And we don't. And I'm here to tell you that I was on a road to destruction. And my destruction was that I came from a generation where, starting in high school, drinking in the synagogue across the street from my uh, high school, which was coincidentally right next to Mr. Rogers' studio there at WQED PBS in Pittsburgh. Um, we drank a lot. We drank a lot. We drank Iron City beer. We drank anything we could sneak out of our parents' house. And that was just what you did. And it wasn't even frowned upon. It was a rite of passage. Young guys drank. It was social. It was all that. From the get-go, I believe the first time that I ever drank alcohol, I don't have to say I think. I know the first time I ever drank alcohol, I blacked out. Okay. Now, granted, it was grain alcohol and it was probably way too much of it, but that was the beginning. And if I look back now and see that it never really changed, it was something that didn't sit right with me. I was always the guy that got sick. I was always the one that was too loud, the one that it wasn't a strong suit for me at all. So through the years, as that progressed, and through my marriage, I have 3 wonderful kids, and I watched that dissolve. Through no blame of anyone else's except my own, that social drinking continued, but my success didn't stop. There was no reason to quit my drinking, and this habit that is socially acceptable. That, what do you mean you don't want to drink? You sit down, and when everybody asks you what you're ordering or what can I get you to drink, you're going to have a drink, aren't you? Well, I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so I never turned that down. I cut to, I was working at a television station, and I had a meeting in the morning, and in the meeting at this morning, I'm getting ready as usual, and I'm there, and I'm functional. I'm functioning, but I'm sitting there, and I realized that I could not hold my coffee cup. I couldn't hold the water glass. It was going to spill. This is a tremendous. This was an emergency. This was a 4-alarm fire because there was somebody coming, and I never had these feelings before, and even with my alcohol consumption, as I said, things were good. Financially, kids, had a beautiful home, all these things. It had to be something else. I had to have something else wrong with me. I was that naive that it was alcohol. So immediately that became a problem that I needed to find an answer for. What I found out was it was alcohol, and it was an affliction that is not looked too highly upon. It's we found out a lot more since I was a young man, but I tried to do something about it. As a matter of fact, I did something about it so much that Betty Ford Rehab gave me a scholarship because I cleaned myself up for 60 or 70 days and went to them and told them about the problem I had and about why drinking was just surrounded by my business, by all the meetings I had, by everything I did, and that I knew it was a problem and I didn't know what to do about it, but I didn't think I should drink it. Sounds pretty good. Sounds like that was pretty clean. And they actually give a couple of scholarships away a year. That I went to the outpatient there. I could continue working, and within the year of graduating from Betty Ford, which is the most wonderful place to go if you need help for anything in the addiction world, I was drinking with the people that I had went to this rehab with. It wasn't my time to quit yet, and so I kept it up, and just sloughed it off. And this is something I can do. I better watch myself, though. Well, I'm here to tell you that at 61 years old, I did not quit drinking until I was 55 years old. So I blinked like that. I'm a guy telling you that if you're not successful by 40, I was having all these thoughts and delusions of grandeur because I was working with a really big handicap. And uh, the man upstairs has a plan for everybody. The plan was for me that's when that was supposed to happen. It wasn't supposed to happen when I was 35 years old. And I spent a few years thinking about the lost time. But as I committed myself to a better lifestyle, to taking care of myself, and to knowing that putting things into my body that were inherently destructive couldn't happen for me to have the success or to have a life that I thought was enjoyable, profitable, had love in it, had joy. Didn't have any of that. And I kept it up, as I said, until I was ambulatory. I went to the hospital a couple of times for alcohol poisoning, etc. This sounds really, really, really depressing. But I'm here to tell you right now, it's not. I thought this life would never be the same. I'd never have fun again. How could I hang out with these guys and everybody that I love? Because everything about our fun was based on alcohol. Well, yeah, I fought with that for a while, but I just knew that this is something that had to happen. It had to happen for me to be the things I wanted to be. Number one, first and foremost, was a good dad. And you can't be a good dad when you can't even be in control of yourself. So I committed to doing that with a lot of help and a lot of wonderful people. I'm not here to sell you on that. I'm trying to just explain how it's never too late. So I sit here now and I can tell you that at 61 years old, I've never felt better. I've never felt younger. I'm sitting here at 175 pounds, 179. This is a show of honesty. And taking back the curtains, pulling back the covers, and telling you the truth about what happened. And I know as I get older that this can resonate with people in any type of addiction problem, whether it's weight gain, whether it's gambling, whether it's some type of addiction on the computer. We're an addictive society, and we were fed things like that. We see people in films, at least for what attacked me in the alcohol world, and they're funny, and drunks are funny, but they're also the brunt of the joke. So I realized I got my mojo back. I started being able to have fun. I started to feel fresher than I ever did before, but I also got back a discipline that I lost. And that just verve for life that always pushed me, that always just made me want to learn more. And my light was dull. I was a dull bulb, and I was controlled by substances. I was not a drug addict, but if I drank enough, I could be. And shaking that habit has changed my life to the point that it is not even about that, but it led me to where I am now. It led me to doing the things that I said earlier you have to have, and you still can have as you grow and get older, but you don't need to lose your childishness, your playfulness, your sense of humor, your energy, your lust for life. But you do need to take care of business and be responsible. It made me a responsible adult. It made me a better thinker. It made me a lot of things that I wasn't bargaining for. What I was bargaining for is, how do I stop this terrible habit? Well, it's a mental and a spiritual disease, a mental and physical disease, excuse me, if you will. So, it grabs you mentally and physically. It tears you down if you are allergic to that particular substance. I felt it. gradually, I was so compelled to stay with it that day by day, every day, even now, there's just a little bit more hope. There's just a little glimmer of hope. There's it's amazing what you can do at any age and with any mindset. You can turn it around. You know, a lot of us suffer from depression. Um, and in my case, I guess depression could be caused by putting a depressant in your body in copious amounts. Um, and when I mentioned before about time lost, I can't get time lost back, but I certainly can't spend the rest of my life being bummed out and depressed about what I didn't do, especially when the world has changed. And the world has changed. We live longer. There's more opportunities. As I said, our song list is so much larger than these younger kids. And I realize now that I realized I had something to offer. Um, and that enthusiasm for life, the the ability to jump in and work with other people and care about other people came back. You know, when you're on a road of loneliness or depression, it's a pretty selfish world. Woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. You don't really ever ask anybody how they're doing because God knows you're so bad off. You can't imagine anybody could be worse off. Well, what I learned was, and what the people that helped me was, is the real way to get fulfillment for this wonderful gift you've been given of freedom, freedom from that the slave of that drug, in my case, alcohol, that seemed like it was my only problem. It wasn't. It was what I was using to hide from everything that I had in me and everything that I desperately wanted to share with people. And I learned that the way to really be fulfilled was to be able to share something with other people and to really be sincere about it, to really care about other people's feelings, to really do something for someone. And when you find that you can actually just brighten someone's day or give them some advice or without judging them, um, wow, what a feeling. You know, I never had that feeling before. Felt like I was giving back. I thought before that just being me was giving back. Those were immature thoughts. Um, so I'm not trying to take you down. I'm not trying to do anything like that, because I think that whether you've experienced that or not, somebody has it. You know, your uncle, your best friend, one of your kids, and I want you to know that they just need help, and we got to do our best to help them. And of course, you know, if anything ever crosses a line that's not safe, then that changes the whole game. But um, helping people, actually making your first thought in the morning when you wake up, not what am I, poor me, going to do today, but actually waking up and thinking about other people. That's probably the biggest thing that changed for me. Um, and I had no hope. And let's get to what I wanted to talk to you about. I think that if we fall into a rut, like I said, with anything, I don't care if you're isolating because you retired too early, or you didn't drink to the level that I did, but it's 4 or 5 days hard a week or 3 hard, and that depressant just kind of takes you off your game. It doesn't matter what it is. Uh, you you can come back. And I think that the older we get a little complacent and think, yeah, that's for the younger folks. My time has passed. I'm not going to be able to do that. Well, it's not true. It's not true. I found a poem that I wanted to share with you that I thought really summed it up by one of my favorite poets, Dylan Thomas, and it's a poem he wrote about aging, and to me, it speaks volumes about how I feel now. And I feel that let me tell you this, the poem is, do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rage at the end of the day. Rage, rage, rage against the dying of the light. Listen to that again, right? Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rage at the end of the day. Rage, rage at the dying of the light. Don't be complacent. It's not over. That poem's telling you right there, that little piece from Dylan Thomas is that rage and burn and be vibrant and be a warrior until the lights go out. And we don't know when now, you know? I can sit here at 61 and poor pitiful me, I might live to, I'm 97. There's a long life ahead. I had the pleasure of meeting some of these guys that a lot of you know and you know, respect. Dick Van Dyke in particular was what an inspiration. What an inspiration. I mean, he still sings and dances and can move and he's childlike. Carl Reiner wasn't just until he passed. And when he did, he accepted the dying of the light. He had such a full life that, you know, you saw him. He was laying in bed talking about it with his daughter and Mel Brooks beside him in bed. Wow. You know, so it doesn't need to be the end of days. It doesn't mean to be dark days. There's so much we can accomplish now, and there are so many things we can give to the younger folks in our society. You know, we get consumed with things. You know, for me, when I was in the middle of all of my depression, I thought that I had to have the news on in every single room of the house because I was involved in what was going on in the world. And God forbid, if I wasn't watching CNN or whatever station I was watching 24/7 and I wasn't informed, what was I thinking? I mean, I can't control that. You know, I can't control where the world is right now. I can control the people that I affect. I can control my own behavior. I can control the impression I give others. And when I look at generations before me, my aunts and uncles, my grandparents, etc., there was you know, you're old. You stay home. They did this, they did that, and you watch them kind of deteriorate. And they were vibrant. But that's just the way they were raised. And there were those limitations that you're done. You retire, you do this, and you don't need to do that now. And it doesn't mean that you have to work. You can do other things. You can volunteer. You can get involved in something that you always wanted to do because it's never too late. You know, the only thing between us, between you and a better you and a happier you is you. We get in each other's way. You know, turn off the television. That news is not going to change between 9 a.m. and 5. And no matter what we do, we're not going to affect it. We're not going to change the decisions that our leaders make. And that's just that. I'm not trying to be political at all. Believe me, I'm apolitical, and this isn't a place to do that. This is Bloomer Boomers, and at Bloomer Boomers, we want to talk about the aging process. We want to talk about what it means to be a senior citizen in this world of citizens. Okay, it does not mean we're old. It doesn't mean we're worthless. It doesn't mean we're used up. It doesn't mean we don't have anything to offer. Quite the contrary, we have a lot to offer. So what can change you would help me change me from being hopeless, from feeling, what do I have to contribute? What's my worth? Well, there's one thing that can change that. And it's that word I just keep saying, change. Do something that you're not used to doing. You've heard people say this before. Do something that makes you uncomfortable. And it doesn't need to be a big thing. It doesn't need to be because you're going to go do some movie that's going to affect a lot of people. They don't have to be tremendous goals, but do something different. Get your mojo back. Start off slow, but do something different. Do something that makes you uncomfortable. Do something you don't even think you can do, or do something that you always really wanted to do, but you just never thought you could, or you thought it might be silly to try. And as a boomer, that's a bloomer, and that's the whole point. Boomers are about this generation that we are of boomers, that we're still blooming, man. Our petals are opening up. We have so much to offer. So change, mix it up. There's we get into ruts, and you can spend a whole lot of money in rehabs or therapy, or a lot of money at Barnes and Noble on self-help books, and that's all good. But the bottom line is, move a muscle, change your attitude. Go out and take a walk. Start off slow. I know that if you add change to a hopeless feeling, you're going to end up with some hope. You're going to end up feeling like you have something to contribute. So what have I done to do that? What do I do? Well, I'm not afraid to look foolish. Don't be afraid to look foolish, but step outside of the box. Recently, I took a trip. That was organized by my most wonderful girlfriend, Linda, who I'm sure is watching with some other boomers right now. And talk about taking me out of my comfort zone. She took me on a 5-night, 6-day backpacking trip in a place called Desolation Wilderness. And Desolation Wilderness is really just that. It's desolate, and it's in the wilderness, and there's nobody there. It's in the middle of nowhere, and you fend for yourself, and you make you clean your water from the lakes. Anyway, the point is, I'm from Pittsburgh. I don't know if I mentioned that. And in Pittsburgh, not that people don't do a lot of outdoor things, and Pennsylvania is beautiful. Billy Joel sung about, high up in the hills of Pennsylvania and all that other stuff. But where I live, it's pretty close to the city and the ballparks and all that. You might camp out in your backyard, and that was a big idea for you and your friends, and you'd have snacks in there from your mom, and as rugged and wild as we thought we were when we were 11 or 12, or we never really stayed the whole night. Somehow we went back in and took our little fort to the basement or in the house. And so an outdoorsman I am not. I'm not. So you go on a backpacking trip with, first of all, I'm thinking that I have no business being here. I'm going to hold these folks back. This is it. This is where I'm just going to find out just how out of it I am. And the 3 other folks we went with another couple. These guys have hiked together. They've done it a long time. It's one of their passions, their sport, if you will. And I felt like the odd man out. So, and I've had a full knee replacement, like some of us boomers do. And so we're up there and we're hiking. I don't think it felt like 100 pounds on my back, but I understand it was only close to like 30. But I was so out of sorts and realized there was no turning back. There was nowhere to go. Not even whether I wanted to or not, because if I wanted to or not, I couldn't. And I also knew just to save face, I couldn't complain. You doing? Yeah, I'm okay. Well, we hiked in this area that there were 7 glacier lakes, alpine lakes, and I went in 5 of them, and um, I helped do the water, and I helped do some chores, and I helped do some things, and in the first day I just kind of hung back and watched everybody and thought, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die out here in the wilderness, and it's gonna be really tough on them because they're gonna have to carry me back. But I realized then that I they weren't supermen and women either, and this was a strenuous thing we were attempting to do, and everybody was in it for that. And then I got a little comfortable and went, okay, what, everybody else is really sore, everybody else is spent at the end of the day, everybody else is conscious that we've just heard over and over and over again, here's what you do when you meet a bear. Okay, some people told me that the best thing to do was to squarely punch the bear in the nose, not even forcefully, just squarely in the nose. And I tried to imagine myself in the wilderness when I found myself alone. And I go, what would I do if the bear came right now? And I would tell myself, well, I'm not going to punch the bear in the nose. I just can't see that this isn't a movie. This isn't some alter ego of some character I want to play. That I just don't see myself standing next to that bear and punching him in the nose and saying, now, now take that and get out of here. So I had some bear spray, and I had some other things that I thought would save me. And quite frankly, I don't know if the bear came, we don't know this time. But, I got comfortable enough to think that, if I don't bother them, they won't bother me. And I have a pretty loud voice, so I decided that if any of that happened, I wasn't going to punch them. I wasn't going to try and get my bear spray out and try and squirt them and aggravate them. I was going to I was going to scream and make a lot of noise and get big, like they say, and get rid of the bear. The bear took up a lot of space in my head, and so did as a city guy, so did the sea creatures that I was convinced were in the lakes. None of that was really there. There was one sea creature that it was like this, and everyone I was with said it was like this. So my mind was just spinning. Talk about not being in your comfort zone. And then it just became like it flushed over me. It became this most beautiful thing. I'd never been in nature like that. Never, never, never. At one point, I was going up this hill, and Linda, my lovely girlfriend, comes up to me, who, believe me, I had a sneaking suspicion she was a little worried about me most of the time we were there. But we're going up this hill of granite, and I'm thinking, this is it. This is, I'm going to have my other knee done, and I'm this, and they're going to airlift me out of here. And, but I'm trudging along, and she comes up beside me and she goes, are you crying? And I went, yeah, I am, and I can't stop. They were like tears of joy flooding out of me from this experience that was so foreign to me, and the joy that came from it was being in that environment and suddenly realizing that there's nothing more beautiful than this world that God created and I had never even seen before. And all of a sudden, and believe me, if you're in the wilderness like that, it doesn't take much for you to think you're Ansel Adams. So I just became a photographer, and there was nothing you could not take a picture of that just wasn't glorious. And I must have taken 1,500 pictures, and in my opinion, they were all suitable for framing. So I am And I'll tell you this definitely, although I lost my way for a bit, I'm very much an optimist. I'm very much a person that has a cup half full. And I'm very thankful that I am that. And I'm glad that I could get that back. But when it came to change, oh, man, I never had a bigger change. Now, I'll tell you what that change also got me. It got me to take quite a fall on this on the granite, and I'm going to have a little surgery on a wrist that was always a problem. Who knows what they're going to do, and it's not going to be pretty. But you know what? I wanted to get it done as fast as possible, and I found out that from one of my doctors, you can keep hiking. Just use a pole in one hand, and be careful. And I guess what I'm saying is, the city guy did go up there and did exactly what everybody said. You're going to go up there and hurt yourself. And I came back and tried to be tried to power through it, or use the powers of my mind to heal it, and it didn't. And I had to admit to Linda that we should go to urgent care. I wouldn't trade it. If I didn't have this on my hand and I didn't have to go have someone help me with my hand, an orthopedic surgeon help fix my hand and all, I wouldn't trade it for the experience I had that broadened my horizon so much that I'm forever thankful for that trip. And unlike other things I've done that I don't need to do again, I've jumped out of a plane. I've gone hang gliding, both of those in my youth. And both of those times when I did land on the ground safely and someone said, wasn't that the most amazing thing you ever did in your life? Let's do it again. And I agreed this is the most amazing thing that I ever did on those two experiences, hang gliding and jumping out of that plane. But I had no desire to do it again. It was a really nice box to check. And it was a great experience. And that was in my youth. So now I'm a boomer. And now I'm a boomer. And now, I'm Bear Grylls. I am an outdoorsman. Yeah. And I believe it. And it affected me. And it put me in a place of wonder. It put me in a place of a young man. And why am I not a young man? I'm a young man. I'm 61. You're a young man if you're in your 70s. It's all about your mind and your mindset. Whoever wins the election in our country right now, these are both boomers. These are men in their 70s. They're going to run. One of them is going to run our country. So why should we go quietly into the night? No, we shouldn't go quietly into the night. We should do what Dylan Thomas says. We should rage. Rage, man. The party's just getting started. We know what we like now. We know what we want to achieve. And in the world we live in now, no one expects us to go quietly. Write a book. Go jogging. Do something. Say, physically, I've always wanted to be in this kind of shape. Take up archery. Go help people. People need help. People need people that have experience that boomers have. There's nothing that beats life experience. And I did not know that. I wasn't a believer. Like I said, I was on that fast track, man, and this is the way it is, and I'm going to be a success, and at all costs, that's what mattered. And if I wasn't, then I was a loser. It wasn't, well, I've done all this and I've done that, I've done pretty well. No, if you didn't achieve this type of fame and this type of success and this type of money, then you just didn't make it. You were a loser. That's how I felt. And so far from the truth. So far from the truth. And now, as you get older, those things come back to you. Those things, all those experiences I have now make me a better person. make me a better leader, make me better equipped to help other people. And that was just an incident. This just happened uh, just a few weeks ago, and it was a life changing event in my mind. And anyone that lives in a big city or is much more comfortable in a hotel room than on the ground uh, might understand that. I can just tell you that for me, that was the biggest change I made, and it affected me in a big way, because as far as what I was trying to explain of getting out of your comfort zone, that was the most recent thing I did. What else am I doing right now? I'm realizing that, all the things I thought I didn't achieve are all building blocks and pieces of the man I am now. And man, I don't want to be 40 anymore. I want to be 61 years old with all the knowledge I have, with all the songs in my head that my kids have never heard, you know? There's a lot of things we know and we have stored in our brains, and they're all right there to tap into. The game is far from over. Look, we're just getting to know each other. This is another thing that's new for me, and I know that Bloomer Boomer is new, and I know that I couldn't be happier to join this network. I know that the viewership is growing constantly. Our leader, Andy Asher, who is this is his brainchild to bring all this information to the boomers out there. I just see this growing. It's an amazing opportunity to me, and I hope you'll stick with me, because I'm going to keep finding my way. And if you get a little something out of what I said today, my goal is to give you some more next week. My goal is to keep going, is to, in some way, not in my role as a singer of songs, which we'll talk about another time, or doing things on the stage. This isn't about entertaining you. It's about affecting you. So I'll leave you with this. Accept everything, because you can't do anything about it. Accept everything and expect nothing. If you expect nothing, you're really never going to get let down. And accept everything that comes your way, because you can handle it. We can handle it. Just by design in our life experience, we're stronger, much stronger than we even know. So I think we're gonna take some questions. I want you all to know that as I said, this is new to me, so I was really surprised that a lot of you reached out to me last week. So I think Andy's going to come over and we're going to take some of those questions, but you can reach me at Pietragallo. That's my last name. Pietragallo, the number 7. Pietragallo, lucky number 7 at gmail.com. I definitely will get back to you personally, but we'll take some of your questions and some of the topics that you have and help us really make this thing gel. It's really a pleasure to be sitting here with you folks and to be able to express myself. I am a lucky one. We are all lucky to be sitting here today, no matter where we are, no matter what it is. We have afflictions from either old age or other things, or things that developed and all that. I won't get into it, and I got a litany list of them too. And sure, we're getting older, but our minds aren't, and our hearts aren't, and our souls aren't. So, stay strong out there, boomers, and stick with Andy in this great lineup he's put together, and people that are going to give you information to have a fuller life as a boomer and let you all bloom. So bloomers, once again, thank you for your time. We're going to take a little break, and we'll come back and take some of your questions.
Gene will be right back with your questions. Hey, you're watching Gene Comes Clean, My Life of Excess. And Gene will be back with a couple of your questions and answer it. And we'll be right back. And remember to sign up for the newsletter and for member benefits at bloomerboomer.com. Gene, I got a couple of questions for you, and love from you.
Sure. Thanks, Andy.
All right, Paul. He is 69, and he
That's old. I'm just kidding.
I know what you're saying.
No, I'm kidding.
And he has a friend he thinks might be drinking too much, and he's asking if he should or how should he intervene to help his friend.
Well, if it's your friend and you're concerned about him, part of being a friend is letting him know you're concerned. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't insult the guy. Most likely, if your friend thinks that about you, then you probably know that problem exists. I have made some huge decisions and things in my life, and not one person ever said, "No, Gene, you didn't drink too much." And sometimes those realizations, I'll go, you know what, I just realized what I have to do, and people have told me, we knew that years ago. So reach out to your friend. There's a lot of help there. It doesn't have to be dramatic. I don't know what level this is going on, but there's help out there. And the best way to have it start is with someone that cares about you, with a friend.
This is from Stephanie. She doesn't have her age in here, but she's wondering if some people have addictive personalities. Is there a way to prevent getting addicted?
Ew. I mean, that's a tough question. Is there a way to prevent it? I mean, if say that it's a, I am not ever portending to be an expert here. I want everyone to know that I'm someone that could say that I went through it and I'm on the other side. But if it's your family history and it's so prevalent in your family history, then you should watch out for it. Okay. And if you really feel that there's so many things you do that are addictive, I mean, there's a lot of warning signs there, then all you can do is take preventative steps. If you are inherently addictive, then you are. So, there's people out there for every type of addiction, whether it's overeating, you name it. And they all really use the same methods. It's if you delve into it, it's very, very easy to follow. The hardest part is taking the first step, and it's not as scary as you think.
Can you get one more in here? This is from Beth. She's 72. She does have feelings.
Hey, Beth.
She does have feelings of hopelessness. She's just asking about any exercises she can do when she kind of feels like that.
Sure, of course there are. At the height of my depression, at the height of my hopelessness, I couldn't stop that depression in my head, and so I took to a physical approach, mental and physical. The reading, the this, the that, seeking help from others, but I also started off just walking briskly, and I went then to the point that there were a couple of 4-mile walks a day, because I needed to tire myself out, because my head was working overtime. And it's all about what we think, and if we think we're depressed and we wallow in it, so once again, do something different, change something. If you're lucky enough to have family or someone you can confide in, like the last question we had, tell a friend, but there's no need to be that way. And so change what's going on, and don't isolate, and don't keep those feelings to yourself. People are much more sensitive and keen on helping you than you think.
Well, thanks, Gene. We'll have more questions next week, and Gene, I know you told people how they can reach you. Do you want to run that by once again? And we'll get your address up there for next show.
Sure. Well, personally, as I said, you can all reach me, and I'd really love that at Pietragallo7.com, Pietragallo7@gmail.com. And to find out everything here, really, I can't tell you enough, because I'm just getting to learn what Andy's done here at bloomerboomer.com, bloomerboomer.com. And, that can help you get out of your own head and listen to what these wonderful folks that Andy put together have to say that can help make your life a little better and give you a lift and let you know that you're not alone. So all I can say is, please, if you want to reach out, Pietragallo7@gmail.com or bloomerboomer.com.
Yep. You've got your own web page, and they can also get through to you there. So, hey, Gene, thanks so much. It's been good. And anything else that you want to throw in there?
No, I just got to tell you that remember, like Dylan Thomas said, rage against the dying of the light. The light's far from out. We've got a lot of life in us. So let's make it. Everybody have a wonderful evening. We'll have a great week, and I really look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday at 5 Pacific time on Bloomer Boomer.
Thank you, Gene. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Andy.
Oh, you've been listening to and watching Gene Comes Clean, My Life of Excess, with Gene Pietragallo. And thank you all. And you can join Bloomer Boomer and join this amazing community at bloomerboomer.com. Meanwhile, we'll